Hey, SongTown, let's talk about songwriting success over 40.
I like it.
This is a subject that's dear to my heart because me personally, I wrote songs for a long time, but I didn't have any success till I was around 40.
Yeah, me
And
too.
then I started having a string of hits. And so when I hear people say that, you do your best work when you're young, it's like I look at myself, I look at you, I look at other people we know, and I'm going, I don't know if that's true. I feel like I write much better now than I did when I was 19.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you listen to my early songs, you would go, "This guy's got no chance," you know, because I didn't know what I was doing really.
Yeah.
Um, there's a quote that we can start with that I really like, and it's something to the effect of, "It's never too late to be what you might have been,"
Yeah.
and that's my motto. Of like, I love trying new things, challenging myself with things. I just was a part of producing my first musical at age 60,
Wow.
and so. Um, I'm a firm believer that if you want something really badly and you're willing to learn, then you can do it. So that's kind of been my motto. It's never too late to be what you might have been.
Yeah. I wonder if sometimes it's easy to fall into a trap and go, I should have started this when I was much younger. It's too late now. And I think if you really love something and you really have that as a dream, I don't think it's ever too late.
No.
And the part about achieving success is not the reason you should be doing it. Sometimes people will say to me, well, I'm going to give songwriting 2 years, and if it doesn't happen, that's not, I don't know if you're doing it because you love it or you're doing it because you think you might have some success at it. I think if you love it, then it's never too late.
Exactly. I had someone tell me one time that he said, "You've written a book. Tell me about writing a book." And I said, "Well, what do you want to write a book about?" And he said, "I don't know. I just want a boat." And I was like, "You want to write a book so you can get a boat?" He said, "Yeah, I don't have any money. I'm not going to get one any other way." And I was like, I would suggest finding something to say first.
Yes.
But it's kind of that same idea of like, if his motivation was, no, I've really got something I want to say, then he might have had success with that, but he didn't have that. Talk about, because you've mentioned to me one time, that you think it's a myth that people are their most creative when they're young. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot where they'll cite, this guy wrote his first novel at 20 years old and it changed the world. And then nothing after that was as good, and I hear that a lot. It's kind of a romantic image we have. But I mean, history is full of people that have been later in life, over 40, that have succeeded. There's a lot out in the world that wants to keep you from being creative. And there's a lot of myths. If you're going to be a songwriter, you can't make money at that. I hear that all the time. But we know plenty of songwriters that do make a living. So I think there's all these myths out there that people buy into. The music business is rigged and they only want to sign a young writer right now. Well, I know a writer that just signed his first publishing deal and he's in his 40s. I know another writer signed his first deal in his 50s, didn't have any hit songs till his 50s. Actually, I can think of two writers. So, I mean, it's a myth.
Yeah,
Now, it might be harder, for maybe your life is busier, maybe you have kids now, all that stuff, but it's not impossible if you really want to try.
it's a great excuse if you're looking for an excuse. If you want a reason to not try it, you can believe that. But there's plenty of evidence if you look around that that's not the case. One thought for me is I'm always encouraging people and reminding myself that you have to look at the advantages of whatever age you are instead of the disadvantages.
Right.
And maybe the advantage of being 20 years old is a lot of energy. You can write songs all day and then you can go hang out all night with music business people and network, and you can get home at 2 a.m. and then get up and do it all over again. You might not have the energy to do that or the life circumstance to do that when you're in your 40s or beyond. But the advantages of being 40 or beyond is a lot of wisdom, a lot of life experience. You've experienced things that a 20-year-old doesn't know about and
Right.
can't write about authentically. And so I think, to me, it's important to just look at the advantages of wherever you are, whatever age you are, what are the advantages of that, and not looking at what are the disadvantages of it.
Yeah, I've been lately studying a lot of piano and learning complex chord inversions and voicings that I never thought when I was 20 I would be able to do. I was like, nah, I play guitar, but this keyboard thing. But starting late in life, now I found out that I actually have more focus. My mind's a little slowed down enough where when I was young, I was just frenetic. And now I can actually sit down and learn something complicated on piano. And I don't think I could have learned it when I was 20. It's like my mind's in a different headspace now. I have a little more focus. I understand more about how to learn. You start and you learn small little chunks, and then they add up to something bigger. Or maybe part of that's because we teach so much songwriting that I've learned what helps our students learn quick, and then I can now apply that to my own learning.
Yeah. And, I was going to talk about focus next from a whole different perspective. One thing that I think is important if you want to be successful after 40 is to narrow down your focus of what you're after.
Yeah,
So if what you're after is a major label recording artist cut, then taking voice lessons and taking guitar lessons and piano lessons and, whatever else might not be helping you get closer to that. In fact, it may be distracting you.
right.
I know people that are literally doing voice lessons, guitar lessons, lessons on Pro Tools, all these things because they want to make their own demos, and they're spending hundreds or thousands of hours on things that may not really contribute to their big goal. And I think if you are over 40 and you can focus on, like, here's what I want, and make sure that all the things you're doing contribute to that, I think that can be a real advantage. If you're 18, you can learn all of it. And,
Yeah.
and then you'll be using it the rest of your life. But if you're over 40, I think it's important to choose what it is you want and narrow that focus down and then just go after those things.
Yeah. So next up,
Yes.
we all have our own journey.
When I started, there was 2 other writers in my publishing company office. And those guys were writing 3 songs a day, almost every day. And I had little kids. I could only write about 2 or 3 days a week. And I was limited in the times on those days. And so I'm putting out maybe a fifth of the output that they're putting out each week.
Right.
And it really got me down because I thought, how can I even compete with these people in my office, And I finally, someone sat me down and said, look, your journey's your journey. Don't compare yourself to everybody else, or that'll kill your creativity, kill your passion for this. And that really helped me just to go, you know what, when I see things on social media about other people's highlights of what they've got going on, that's great. I can celebrate that for them, and I don't have to go, well, I'm not doing as good as they are. I don't have as much going on, because my journey's my journey.
Right.
Yeah,
I think we all have our own journeys. We hear these stories of writers like Ed Sheeran. They go in and they're in the studio. They write 6 songs that day, and song number 1 and song number 4 became a big hit. And so we were like, oh, I've got to sit down and write 6 songs today, and put all this pressure on yourself. And different writers are different. Hugh Presswood, Hall of Fame songwriter, he would write, a few songs a year, but he would perfect them and make them incredible. Dennis Lindy, another Hall of Fame songwriter, would write 1 song a year, but they were all number 1 songs. Like, he found his groove and he perfected it. So I think we all have a different journey, like you said, and we all work differently. Some people get better results with high volume. Some people need to slow their roll down and just perfect what they're working on.
And, we can list lots of success stories. We'll touch on just a couple.
Yeah.
We've got a SongTown member, Peter Newman, who just signed his first publishing deal, and he's over 40. We've got some members.
And he's got a hit single on the radio
Yeah.
right now for Parmalee.
Yeah. Lucy LeBlanc and Bill O'Hanlon are in their 70s, and they're getting songs cut. They've each had over 100 songs recorded. If you Google success stories over 40, sometimes that can be inspirational. You'll find Henry Ford was 45 when the Model T came out. Didn't you say that Verdi?
Yeah, Verdi was 58 when he debuted his first opera.
Yeah.
I mean, his very first opera debuted when he was 58. So,
That's very impressive.
it's never too late to be who you could have been.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
What you might have been.
What you might have been.
Yeah.
Mighta, coulda, it's all the same.
It's all the same. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you appreciate the content, hit the subscribe button and help us grow. Shout out to Sweetwater Music. It's where Marty and I get all our musical gear. Great people. We'll see you guys around town. Right on.